Hey, what's up, everybody, and welcome to my 3 Takeaways episode from the Lewis York interview that I did this past Monday. That was one of the first times in a while that I had two people in person interviewing them, and it made it so much fun. It just made me realize how much the human interaction, just having somebody in the same room, the energy that you can vibe off of them and they can vibe off of you is so unique, and I think we're just missing that right now a little bit during this quarantine. But I think that we're still able to get that a little bit with the family and the friends that we're around, and through those Zooms, it's still good, but it's just not quite as good as that human interaction. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was really unique because they've had such a unique career path, and they've had such a unique way to getting where they are right now, which I think was super cool. And I just love their thoughts on self-acceptance. I love their thoughts on how we can not care what others think about us, because I think that's one of the biggest struggles for almost anybody, is caring so much and putting so much value on other people's opinions of us. And sometimes it's important to care what others think, sometimes it's not, but we really dive into that a lot into that episode. So if you haven't listened to that yet, make sure that you go back and listen to it. Make sure that you subscribe to the podcast if you haven't already. Make sure you share it with a friend that you think might be struggling with self-acceptance. You never know what this could do for them. You never know how this might impact somebody in your friend and family if you send them this episode. But let's get right into my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is define success for yourself. I think I've talked about this a lot in a lot of different ways, and I don't necessarily think I've talked about it in the way that we did in this episode. I think a lot about defining success for myself, because I think it's really important to define success so you know if you're progressing, and you know if you're not progressing, because if you know you're not progressing, you know you need to make some adjustments. And if you see that you are progressing, you get that positive motivation. But they talked a lot about it in regards to self-acceptance, because if you are so set on getting to other people's version of success, then you're not going to be wholly fulfilled. You're not going to really accept yourself, because you're going to feel that gap in the difference of chasing down somebody else's success compared to your own success. So take your time to define what success means for yourself, not what success means for society, not what success means for somebody on TV, but what does success mean for yourself, and then chase that down. Takeaway number 2 is I wonder if they'd be proud. Now this seems to, when I was going back over my takeaways, it can kind of almost seem to be counterintuitive to takeaway number 1, but I don't think it is. Because I think if you see somebody's version of success as being something very similar to your own version of success, that's who you want to have as your role model. That's who you want to ask yourself is, would this person be proud of me after having lived the day that I just lived? And that's really what they're talking about. Pick a role model and visualize them watching you and observing you throughout your day, and ask yourself, would they be proud of my actions? Because that alone can really spark you to take different actions. It can spark you to do things a little bit differently throughout the day. So maybe pick a role model. If you're struggling on maybe following through with the right things, maybe pick a role model and ask yourself on a daily basis, would this person be proud of me? Would this person be proud of the day that I had today? Takeaway number 3 is don't care what others think if. And the first 2 takeaways had a lot to do with this third one. They kind of build on each other. We don't want to care what others think if their version of success doesn't necessarily line up with ours, and they're criticizing us because of that. If we're following through on our version of success and we're doing those things, then we need to spend time being aware of that and focusing on that and being proud of ourselves for following through with our version of success, and take root in that. And don't worry about what other people think if they're criticizing you because your version of success. I think that's really important, and I think that was my biggest takeaway overall from this whole thing. That's why I titled the episode, Don't Care What Others Think About You. Because define your own success, and if other people are criticizing that, then write them off. So again, guys, my 3 takeaways. Number 1 is define success for yourself. Really make sure that you're not chasing after somebody else's version of success. What does that mean for you? And go after that every single day. Takeaway number 2 was I wonder if they'd be proud. Pick out a role model whose version of success kind of lines up with yours, and ask yourself on a daily basis, would this person be proud of the day that I had? And see if you make a difference on a daily basis. Takeaway number 3 is don't care what others think if that person is criticizing your version of success. I hope you guys are doing well during this quarantine. I know it's a weird time. I know it's a tough time. But I truly think that in order to be successful and stay motivated during this quarantine, it goes back to my takeaways here. You have to define what success looks like for yourself. A lot of people are still doing some great things during this quarantine and don't think that their success during the quarantine takes anything away from if you think you're being successful in your own way during the quarantine. So set sort of goals, set some sort of aim for success during the quarantine and follow through with that. Make sure you guys subscribe to the podcast. Make sure you share it with a friend if you feel like you got something out of it. And if you feel like a friend or family member could get motivated by it, you think it could help them with their own self-acceptance, you think it could help them with their fear of always trying to please other people. Because I really think there's something in here. There's something in the interview with Chuck and with Claude, with the duo Lewis York, that'll help you get closer and closer to your best you.